That little voice in your head that replays every conversation, wondering if you said the right thing. The invisible jury you feel watching you when you walk into a room. That constant draining need for approval. What if you could unplug from it all? 99% of people try to build power on the outside, but they miss the final step that makes it permanent and unshakable. The approval trap. Let's start with a truth that might feel a little uncomfortable. Our brains are fundamentally wired for approval. This isn't a character flaw, it's a piece of our ancient hardware. For thousands of years, our survival depended on being accepted by the tribe. Getting kicked out of the group literally meant death. So your brain developed a highly sensitive, deeply ingrained social monitoring system. It's constantly scanning the faces and reactions of others, asking one primitive question over and over: am I safe? Do I belong? That little jolt of pleasure you get from a compliment or a like on social media, that's a dopamine hit. Your brain's way of rewarding you for behavior that it believes keeps you safely within the tribe. It's a survival mechanism that, in the modern world, has been hijacked. The problem is that this ancient software is now running in a world it was never designed for. The tribe is no longer a small, stable group of 100 people. It's a potentially infinite audience of colleagues, bosses, strangers on the internet, and the perceived expectations of society at large. And so our approval-seeking drive goes into overdrive. We start outsourcing our sense of self-worth. We let the opinions, moods, and judgments of others dictate how we feel about ourselves. We measure our value not by an internal standard, but by an ever-shifting, impossible-to-please external one. This is the approval trap, and it is the single greatest thief of personal power. When your self-worth is on loan from others, you are never truly free. You become a chameleon, constantly changing your colors to blend in, terrified of standing out. I remember this feeling so vividly from early in my career. I would agonize over every single email I sent to a superior, reading it 10 times, trying to decode the perfect combination of words that would make me sound smart but not arrogant, competent but not threatening. I was handing over the keys to my confidence to someone else, hoping they would validate me, but true power doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for a round of applause. It is generated from the inside out. Escaping the approval trap isn't about becoming cold or indifferent to others. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about developing a core so solid, so self-validated, that you can engage with the world from a place of genuine strength and curiosity, not from a place of neediness and fear. It's about taking back the role of judge and jury in your own life. The first step to becoming powerful is to stop giving your power away, and that begins by understanding the neurological game your brain is playing and choosing, consciously, to play a different one. Internal framework. So how do we break free? How do we unplug from this exhausting, lifelong quest for external validation? We do it by building something better in its place. We need to create an internal validation system that is so robust, so clear, and so compelling that the noise from the outside world begins to fade. Think of it as building your own internal North Star. When you have a fixed point to navigate by, you no longer get thrown off course by every passing storm or changing wind. This is the most crucial work you will ever do on the path to genuine power, because it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, all the body language tips and communication strategies in the world are just a fragile facade. The first step is to define your own metrics for success. For most of our lives, we've been handed a scorecard by society. Get good grades, get the right job, make a certain amount of money, look a certain way. We need to ceremoniously tear up that scorecard and write our own. I want you to take out a piece of paper or open a new document, and I want you to write down 3 to 5 core values that you want to define your life. These are your new metrics. They could be things like integrity, growth, courage, kindness, or creativity. Be specific. What does integrity actually mean to you? Does it mean always telling the truth, even when it's hard? Does it mean keeping your promises to yourself and others? This isn't a 5-minute exercise. This is a deep, reflective process of deciding what truly matters to you, independent of anyone else's opinion. Once you have your internal scorecard, it becomes the operating system for your decisions. Now, when you face a choice or a moment of uncertainty, you no longer have to ask, "What will they think of me?" Instead, you ask a much more powerful set of questions. Does this action align with my value of courage? Is this decision in line with my commitment to growth? Am I acting with integrity right now? This fundamentally shifts the locus of control from the outside world to your inner world. You become the sole arbiter of your own success. Did you act with courage, even if you failed? Then you succeeded according to your scorecard. Did you speak your truth with kindness, even if the other person didn't like it? That's a win. You are no longer measuring the outcome, which you often can't control, but your own character and alignment, which you always can. This practice, done consistently, begins to rewire your brain. You start to derive that satisfying dopamine hit, not from someone else's praise, but from the quiet, profound satisfaction of knowing you are living in alignment with your own chosen values. This is the source of unshakable self-respect. It creates a deep internal well of confidence that is not dependent on external conditions. It is the difference between a flimsy house of cards, easily blown over by the slightest criticism, and a deep-rooted oak tree, solid and grounded in its own truth. This internal framework is your sanctuary. It is the source of your power, and once you have it, no one can ever take it away from you. Projecting power. When your internal world is solid, when you are operating from a place of deep self-respect and alignment with your own values, your external self begins to change automatically. This is not about faking it till you make it. This is about your outer signals naturally and authentically reflecting your inner state. The most powerful people in any room are not the loudest or the most aggressive. They are the most congruent. There is no gap between who they are and how they present. This congruence creates an aura of presence and authority that is magnetic. It's the quiet confidence that comes from no longer needing anything from anyone in the room, not their approval, not their validation, not their permission. Let's look at how this manifests in your nonverbal cues, your posture, for example. Someone who is constantly worried about what others think tends to make themselves smaller. They round their shoulders, they cross their arms, they physically shrink to avoid taking up too much space or drawing criticism. But when you have built that internal framework, you no longer feel the need to apologize for your existence. Your shoulders naturally relax and go back. Your chest opens up. You stand and sit in a way that is grounded and expansive because you feel, on a cellular level, that you have a right to be there. This isn't an aggressive power pose. It is a calm, centered presence. It signals to the world, and more importantly, back to your own nervous system, that you are safe, secure, and in control of your own space. The same principle applies to your voice. The vocal patterns of someone seeking approval are often filled with hesitation. They use filler words like and because they are subconsciously filtering their thoughts, worried about saying the wrong thing. They often use upspeak, where their statements sound like questions, as if they are seeking confirmation that their opinion is okay. But a person who has done the internal work speaks with a different kind of resonance. They are comfortable with silence, using pauses to gather their thoughts, which projects thoughtfulness and control. They speak in declarative statements, with a downward inflection at the end of their sentences. This vocal quality, known as vocal authority, isn't about being loud. It's about the sound of conviction. It's the sound of a person who believes in the value of their own words, regardless of how they are received. Finally, consider your eye contact. Anxious, approval-seeking eyes dart around, constantly scanning for social cues and signs of judgment. It's a look of unease. But when you stop needing others to validate you, you become free to truly see them. Your gaze becomes steady, calm, and present. You can hold eye contact not as a dominance play, but as a genuine act of connection. You are listening to understand, not just to plan your response. You are looking at them as an equal, without fear or supplication. This kind of eye contact makes others feel seen and respected, and it projects an immense quiet power. It says, I am fully here with you, grounded in myself, and I am not afraid. These external signals are not a performance. They are the natural, inevitable result of a profound internal shift. They are the language of a person who has finally come home to themselves. The ultimate secret to power is the realization that you were never supposed to look for it outside of yourself. True, lasting power is not about controlling others or winning their approval. It is the quiet, unshakable freedom that comes from mastering yourself. It is the peace of knowing that your worth is non-negotiable, defined only by your own values, and therefore it can never be diminished by the opinions of others. This is self-sovereignty, and it is the only power that truly matters. YouTube comment, the idea of creating an internal scorecard really hit home for me. It feels like taking back control. Be honest, what's one core value you're putting at the top of your new scorecard? Let's see what matters most to this community.